All right, I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Please join me with reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll begin the meeting with comments from our superintendent.
Good evening. We know that regular school attendance is a factor that puts children on track to become proficient readers by the end of third grade, decreases their likelihood of falling behind their peers academically, and supports social emotional growth. Unfortunately, we also know that the converse is true. Chronic absenteeism is associated with lower academic achievement and dropping out of school before graduation. It is why I am standing with school district leaders across the nation in proclaiming September Attendance Awareness Month. We are committed to reducing chronic absenteeism by recognizing good and improved attendance, engaging students and families, monitoring attendance, providing personalized early outreach as needed, and eliminating barriers to attendance. These are proven strategies for reducing absenteeism, and we will continue to enhance such efforts in all of our schools. So today I am asking our staff members to do their part to ensure that every student has the opportunity to learn every day present in the classroom. With the launch of the traditional calendar schools last week, we were reminded of the generosity and foresight of Wake County citizens as a number of brand new school facilities opened that will serve our students for decades to come. That included the unique Southeast Raleigh Elementary, built in conjunction with the YMCA of the Triangle and in partnership with Southeast Raleigh Promise. Apex High School returned to a brand new building on its Laura Duncan Road campus, where the building it had called home for the past 2 years became the new Green Level High School. The building that will become Willow Spring High School in 2021 will be home to the Fuquay-Varina High School students for the next 2 years as its campus gets a new school building. Northridge Elementary settled into its new building. And the building that in 2021 will become Barton Pond Elementary is currently home to Stow Elementary as their new facility is built. We also held a groundbreaking for the new South Lakes Elementary, opening next year in Fuquay-Varina, and a topping off ceremony for the newly renamed Neuse River Middle School. When you add those to the 2 year-round schools that opened earlier this summer, it comes to 1.6 million square feet of new school space and 601 new classrooms. Yes, that's a lot. But it's worth noting that the sheer volume of these new school openings highlights the economies of scale that we enjoy as a large county school district. The ability to use newly built facilities as swing space for other schools that are undergoing renovations or rebuilds is a great benefit to students and staff. But it's only possible because we live in a large district that is well supported by our community. I am grateful for their continued commitment to providing facilities that enhance the educational experience for all. Last week, I had the pleasure of attending a pep rally at Creech Road Elementary, hosted by the Carolina Panthers. We were there to celebrate a donation of 5,000 backpacks to the school system, filled with school supplies that will be distributed throughout our district. My thanks to the David A. Tepper Charitable Foundation, the John M. Belk Endowment, U.S. Foods, Classroom Central, and the Carolina Panthers charities for the donations. The fun and, yes, extremely loud event was also a great way to get students pumped for the school year. More than that, I hope it reminded them that they have an entire community behind them rooting for their success. Lastly tonight, I'd like to share a report from the Summer Transportation Conference I mentioned at our last meeting. As you'll see, it was not only a great day of professional development for our bus drivers, but also a chance for them to feel appreciated for the essential role that they play.
Bus drivers spend a lot of time on Old Town roads. But this time, they didn't ride in on a bus. It was the kickoff celebration for our transportation conference.
We wanted to start off positive and really motivate our drivers, and we want to make the connection between what they do and the importance of student achievement, and really focusing and bringing the transportation and the student achievement more closely aligned.
Since our school buses are extensions of our classrooms, drivers heard from our superintendent, assistant principals, other bus drivers, and even students about best practices for creating a positive and safe environment on the bus.
Being a bus driver is a great responsibility, and for those students that, we always say that we are one of the first ones they see after they leave the house, and so we would just want to make sure that everything is well with each student that steps on that bus. We greet them with a smile, and we just let them know how much we love them.
I think the panel with the drivers on the panel, I thought that was really good, just hearing from the drivers themselves about some of the things that go on and how they do their job. I think that was great. That was one thing, a plus for me.
Many of our drivers have been behind the wheel so long, it's not just a job.
This is my 25th year.
Absolutely. It's a family.
Making the conference feel more like a family reunion.
It was so electrifying that you could just feel it throughout the morning and into each task that was presented on stage.
You always go the extra mile for us. 1,000 thank yous.
I definitely feel appreciated, and just hearing the feedback, hearing everybody say thank you. It's always good to say thank you sometimes, because sometimes, some people don't feel worthy of the job or don't feel appreciated.
So thank you very much.
Thank you for what you do each and every day.
Just to hear so many people say thank you today, it felt really good, and my job is appreciated.
I'm going to take this with me throughout the whole year, because I can reflect back as I'm riding down the road, something come up, I can reflect back to this day and say, it's going to be all right.
That's great.
Now,
And that concludes my comments.
was that the first time we've done that?
I'm trying to remember how long it's been since we pulled them all together.
We've done it in the past, but never all together. We've had them use at different parts of the camp.
Right. And it was not just a convening. There was like some PD and sessions for them. It mirrors the summer leadership conference that we have for central services as well.
And I may be asking sort of an obvious question, but what sort of moved us or propelled us to doing that?
All means all. So.
It was a great event. I was able to be there for much of the morning session, and the energy was palpable. Yeah, and the opportunity to say thank you, and just to recognize that they really are part of who we are. It was a great event. I had the privilege, last week, to be invited to join the the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce hosted a State of the County, State of the City, State of the Schools event, it's always good to build that partnership, it's easy to recognize that the state of the schools is strong. We graduated over 11,500 students last year. Of those students, they earned over $181 million in scholarship. We didn't just graduate kids across the stage. We continue to have strong SAT scores, over 100 points above the national average. Academically, we're strong. As Superintendent Moore noted, we just opened 1.6 million square feet of new facilities. That shows a pretty strong organization. But that strength really comes from the community, because we could not build that without the support of our county commission, but also the support of the entire community with the bond effort. We've still got work to go on that. Some of the challenges that we have before us include a recognition that in 2008-9 we had 1,071 mobile classrooms. Today, we have 1,019. So in a decade, we only got rid of 52 classrooms, or mobile classrooms. If we wanted to eliminate our mobile classrooms, Brian Roof gave me the information, it'd take about 20 schools. The impressive thing is our 7-year CIP has 20 schools. So we would need an entire CIP just to get rid of our mobile classrooms and replace them with permanent facilities. So this year, as we talk about the need for continuing bond, thank goodness that growth is slowed for a little bit, but we would need an entire 7-year plan to just replace mobile units. So that's work that we need to be doing. And in terms of state of schools, you can't not celebrate the work of our great teachers. We remain, for 13 years in a row, the largest number of nationally board certified teachers that's in the nation. So the state of the schools is very strong. As Superintendent Moore also noted, we had the great opportunity to have the groundbreaking at South Lakes Elementary School. It's more than groundbreaking because that facility is well out of the ground and taking shape. It's going to be a great facility, again, like so many of our new facilities. And the Southeast Raleigh Elementary School, again, a phenomenal partnership between the Wake County Public Schools, the YMCA, and the Southeast Raleigh Promise. Finally, I'll just note that we had a very productive meeting with BAC chairs. I highlight that because the BAC, the Board Advisory Councils, are an important time for engagement between this board and the community. So those will be launching probably starting this month. I encourage the public to pay attention to those meetings, come and engage. There are formal BAC members, but any member of the public is welcome to come to the BAC meetings, and we look forward to robust interaction through the BACs during this year. Mr. Sutton.
Thanks. Just briefly, last week was a very busy week, not just with the opening of schools, but there were topping off ceremonies, ribbon cutting ceremonies, football games on Friday, and so many things that were going on in just the first week of school. So I just want to say hats off to all the professional staff at the individual schools, at central office, superintendent, and all the cabinet, as everybody just got off to a relatively smooth start with a few hiccups, I guess, here or there, but for the most part, it was really a very smooth opening. I started the day off on the first day of school at Southeast Raleigh Elementary, as I'm sure all of us were at different schools throughout the district on the first day, and so I thought it was a very, very smooth start when you hear particularly the number of new schools and new facilities and all of that that was taking place. So again, just hats off to a smooth start. Also attended the State of the Schools event. Our chair did a wonderful job there. Thank you for your, not just your remarks and comments, but the passion in which you brought to that event and your comments and words. It was a great event, and for the first time, I think the first time that we were included in that event. I think it's normally been the state of the city and state of the county, and so I think for the first time it was state of the county, city.
It was second time.
Second time. Okay. All right. Well, I'll stand corrected, but. You got me. I did not come last year. Anyway,
they celebrated as the first time.
They did say that, so we'll need to get them.
That's right.
Anyway, thanks to you both for your leadership last year and previous year before, and again, thanks to a great start.
Ms. Scott.
Thank you. Good evening. I had the pleasure of attending the East Wake Middle School topping ceremony, and that was also, they had a banner, which they said it looked so big, and then it was on the top of one of the beams, and it looked very small, but talking about the Neuse River Middle School, and it was really great to hear students and staff and parents talking about the school and what it means to them, and why a new building was needed. To hear students describe it from their own perspective about it'll be nice to have our teachers be able to teach without fluid seeping up through the floor. I mean, they didn't hold back. But it was great, and a huge thank you to our stakeholders and our taxpayers for entrusting us to make the right decisions with their investment. And I want to assure you that it is a good one. So we're excited about that. Today, I did something that Ms. Cash and I talked about doing with visiting our schools. And so I'm sorry. I did. Zebulon is the farthest east. I mean, it is the most eastern part of the district of our county. And so where I live, it's not always I'm not driving through Zebulon to go somewhere. And I really wanted to visit the schools. I have been to all 3 schools already several times, but I wanted to go out today. So I made these little sunshine baskets for the support professionals who work at the front desk, because these are all traditional schools, and the first week of school is hectic. Today, all the kinders were there all day, and it was just a little thank you, little things that are nice to have there. But one thing that just blew me away is here we are in the second week of school, and one of the principals, they all offered to give me a tour, but my time was a little limited because I had to drive all the way back out here. But to see the work already being done, I saw a first grade classroom, and these students were writing, legibly writing, and it just really blew me away, and how they all greet their principal, just seeing happy kids in our schools. And I wish so much that I could, just project that everywhere I go. I have a projector and just show people, this is what's really happening in these schools. We are not perfect, but no school is perfect. No person is perfect. We all make mistakes, we grow, we learn, but the learning taking place in our schools is phenomenal. And I wanted to quote Dr. Martin. This is roughly quoting you, but you said at the State of the Schools, you said, building relationships transforms lives. And that was what I saw happening over and over in those schools today. And then the last is our back meeting for District 1 will be September 16th at 6 p.m. at Nightdale Elementary School. And thank you.
Ms. Cash.
So I'm going to beat you. I'm going to get going. I think I'll beat her. But I did, a couple things I did get done was at West Millbrook, went to see some things at West Millbrook. They are offering a brand new program this year on agriculture. And the students in the middle school now are going to have an opportunity for 3 different courses in this CTE arena. And I think it's going to be well received. The courses will be exploring environmental and natural resources, exploring food and agriculture, and the fundamentals of biotechnology. And they were actually just awarded an inaugural charter for FFA, so this will go along well with that. I was in FFA when I was growing up. They had it way back. Then after that, the Friday, I was in Iowa, yeah. We started it, right? I did have choices. There was a choice. Oh, Lord. Okay. And then Northridge, I went and visited them last Friday, and a couple parents went, and we went around the school. It's just amazing there. The school is amazing, but the teachers have just made their rooms individual, and I called and asked Brian Roof a million questions, and he answered all of them brilliantly. But the school, they've just got the classes so set up, and it's great to see a new school, but it's great to see what the teachers do in each of these schools to individualize it. And the principal went around with us, and he's very, very happy. And then on the 21st, right after our last board meeting, I and 2 of my parents and 6 students went to Pine Hollow Middle School to look at MVP there. And my parents we had decided as a whole in my district that we would go out as a group. And it went really well. And what we did was we went out to look at MVP and look to see what they were doing on different levels. And what I brought with me was students from 2 high schools, 1 middle school, all at different levels of MVP. Some have had it, some have not had it, and parents with concerns. We had the opportunity to listen to Angela King, which is a teacher there, who did a really good job. And she started us out with what I thought was important that I wanted my parents to know is she gave us a detailed outlook of what our new toolbox is and what every website in every school has for their new toolbox. And we went through all of those as a whole. The students had lots of questions, and then we observed the class. And then after that, we met with Drew Cook, Ed McFarland, and Michelle Tucker, who took a lot of time with these parents and students. And we let the students go through the toolbox. We let them go through the website. And then they also got to ask a lot of questions. And then they talked a lot about what they had already had in their schools and how it differed or how some of it was the same, but things that they could see that they wanted more of. So I think we were allowed to have a lot of time in getting our information out. It was really good dialogue. But then these parents and students of mine are been charged with going out and giving this information to other parents and students in my district. And as they need to, they'll refer questions back to me, which gives me an opportunity to get those back to administration. But I was really able to learn about the training that's coming up, and I want us all to know that there's a lot of training out there now for MVP teachers. I don't know now or when, but our area superintendents know, our principals are expected to get them there, and I will encourage that in my back meeting coming up, which is September 16th at Abbott's Creek, same night as yours. Mine's at 5:30. It starts earlier. And we'll do a lot of reinforcement to my principals that we need to get all of our teachers through the training. So that was a good experience, but I wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Ms. Kushner.
Hi. Good evening. I also had an enjoyable first day of school. I went to Stow Elementary, that is at Barton Pond Elementary. It's a little further afield from the base assigned students from Stow and some of the Magnus, but it's a beautiful new school, and they are happily going through the punch list, Mr. Roof, of that new school. But carpool went well, and it was exciting to see that the students coming through. And they are excited to be in a new space as their beloved Stow has been taken to the ground and is going to be completely rebuilt. So I'm grateful to the community for that transformation for Stow Elementary and its immersion Mandarin magnet program. And I also got to do at a fun event that first day of school. It was a no back to school day at NCAE for their retired educators. And it was a joyful group of our retired teachers, support staff, and other educators that have served our children so well, are very excited to have been able to sleep in on Monday the 26th and look forward to their year. And I'm sure we'll get some of them back as interims of some sort, but on their own time. So congratulations to all of our educators who started their retirement years this year.
Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you. A couple of notes. September 16 is a popular day. The Cary Advisory Council will also meet that evening at 5:30 at West Cary Middle School. The topic will be to learn more about the school security physical audit that the school district has embarked upon today, and that'll be our primary topic of discussion. There have been some transportation, carpool challenges in terms of a couple of the schools in my district. Staff is working diligently to figure out how do we move people with the choices they make in terms of the transportation efficiently to clear up those issues, and look forward to staff being successful in making that happen. And on a personal note, this Friday, no one can do this job and do it alone. I'm very happy to have a very supportive partner. My wife and I, Saturday, will celebrate 44 years of marriage. And it is my daughter texted me Monday, said, y'all can't have an anniversary without a hurricane, can you? So if you think about that, Hurricane Fran came through on September 6th, okay? And so last year, we missed it a couple of weeks last year with Florence, but it's the F hurricanes that really get us. But I want to thank my wife for her support and encouragement for me to continue doing this work. So thank you, sweetheart.
Ms. Johnson-Hostel.
Thank you, Becky, personally for the sentiment bonds and for being supportive. I do agree. It takes that in this role. So last week I actually started saying it was my week of 5 days of parties and asked people to invite me to a party all 5 days, which almost happened. I had the great pleasure, like all of our board members, to be at our school on the first day, dropping off in my own carpool, and got to see a wonderful welcome to my freshman high schooler for all of the seniors outside, making my freshman who got out of the car with her shoulders like this drop completely when she saw people welcoming her, which I'd never seen. So that was, as a parent of a freshman and an only child, it was great to witness her physical posture change just entering a new big school. And then I got the great pleasure of working with our community, including churches and law enforcement and all the elected officials at Lincoln Heights, #New Heights, and I got to actually welcome back 2 students in the Mahaffey household back to school. So I got to let them out of the car at carpool. They did take a picture. They were not really excited.
She held up the line.
I did hold up the line, but it was short. She was one of the last. But it was great. It was great to be at Lincoln Heights, and it's always a pleasure to see kids so excited to be back. And so for me to watch principals hug those babies is just, it's priceless, to see the excitement that they have when they get out of the car and being called by their names was exciting. And then, as you heard, I got to spend day 2, which the superintendent did not tell you, that she danced down the aisleway at Creech Road because she didn't have a choice, because the principal, everybody that went first danced. So I looked at her, I was like, what you got? And she indeed did dance down the aisle, which was wonderful. But I also will note, which made me tear up, I kept thinking, I was like, why is there not video? I know that there was video. I have video. I got video. I think I posted it, but I'll retweet it. But I blame Ms. Scott for being emotional now at everything, and you literally, I didn't feel that way before you sat across from me, but watching the bus drivers, it's you, but also the fact that the Panthers started by talking about the importance of meals and really recognizing the cafeteria staff, which was also exciting to me. And they posed for pictures, and they were like, are you going to do a boomerang? Which luckily I forgot, my daughter downloaded it, so I was able to do a boomerang. So they did a great pose. But for me, it's just a welcoming feeling to see that as a district we're acknowledging all the people who touch our students' lives, and they were definitely appreciated and welcomed by the Panthers at Creech Road. Excuse me. So my week continued, because then I said somebody else should invite me. But I'm gonna cut it short and say to Mr. Fletcher, who usually reports on high school football, that now that I have a high schooler, you all know I'm from Thomasville, born and raised Friday Night Lights. As my husband says, he can't believe a small town has a whole football stadium that's not attached to a track. But that's what happens when you're a football town, is you have a stadium. And so I felt all of that come back now that I have a high schooler, and we were at the game, and I was like, I have no attachment to Millbrook other than my daughter is there, and to watch them lose in the last minute and 32 seconds I had a flashback of being in high school. So I ended my week excited to see the love and the clear rush of the field for Wakefield, who had not expected to beat Millbrook. But for me, it's great to be a high school parent. I ended the week kind of sad I had a high schooler, and definitely ended the week excited for what's to come for the next 4 years for us at high school.
Ms. Mahaffey?
First, I want to thank the Holly Springs Chamber of Commerce for hosting their State of the Town, State of the County. Town manager Randy Harrington and county manager David Ellis did a great job talking about their different priorities and where they intersect, and what the future holds for the town of Holly Springs. Traffic came up a lot in that. And County Manager Ellis did note the smell from the landfill, and he said, I only needed to smell it once, and now I know what everyone's talking about. So that was, everyone, I think, breathed a sigh of relief of, okay, now we got a voice on the commission that gets it. I'm digressing. Anyway, Green Level High School opened wonderfully. The Gators are doing awesome. They have built that community from the folks that we saw as nervous rising freshmen and sophomores to really embracing what it is to be a Gator and create that community has been phenomenal to watch, as with all of our schools. Fuquay and Apex moving back to Laura Duncan, moving over to Swing Space, where they have a coffee shop. It's been really incredible to see those changes, and I want to take a moment to highlight that on Sunday, the 8th at 2 p.m., Apex High School is opening itself up to the community as part of their homecoming tour that will last through the afternoon. And I want to just take a moment to thank extended interim principal John Williams for taking the time to bring our students back to Laura Duncan, and just the amount of time and that feeling that those kids and the faculty had felt that he really invested in their school. We see that with many of our interim principals, but not all of them get that time that Mr. Williams had with our Apex High Cougars. I do want to, because it is Tuesday, welcome the entire class of 2032 to the Wake County Public School District. Some of them started in early July, some mid-July, and the final start was today. And it's, as I watched my kindergartner go into her class, and as soon as she left the hallway, I didn't exist. Which was a good thing. And see her, go and hang up her backpack in her cubby. And it was just thankful for the PTAs that held Cheers and Tears events. And 2032, man, it's going to come fast. It will. So holding us to we have 13 years with these kids, and what starts here changes everything for all of them. And welcome, kindergartners.
Mr. Haggerty.
All right, I think I will, maybe it was Reader's Digest who said, brevity is wit, and just say, let's continue all the enthusiasm we've had from the first week of school as far as we can throughout the coming school year. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, I'm ready to entertain a motion to approve the meeting's agenda.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Ms. Mahaffey.
Dr. Martin, I'd like to note that in the consent items, item 8 is where our closed session is hidden. So we'll have to pull that out when it comes time to do consent, I believe.
Our consent, you're saying?
Closed session is under consent. So it's item 8 under consent in the agenda.
Okay. I didn't catch that. I apologize. We'll get that cleaned up.
Okay.
I don't think that needs to be a change to our agenda, but we'll make sure that it's corrected. Thank you for catching that. All right. With that note, all those in favor of approving tonight's agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. It is now time for public comment. Citizens who sign up to address the board during public comment will be called on in priority order, first for items on the agenda and then for items not on the agenda. Each individual speaker will be allowed 3 minutes for their remarks. Specific personnel or student matters are not appropriate for this public comment setting, but may be addressed through applicable WCPSS personnel, the grievance policy, or other applicable policies. The first speaker is Ms. Carrie Bly.
Hello again. You and me were almost on 6 months of me coming to speak to you about math. And my husband and I keep trying to do what we've asked you to do, ask questions about middle and high school math programs and seek different opinions. We are not sitting at home stagnant in how we view these issues. We are talking with anyone that will listen. We have bumped into you at town halls. I've been able to speak with some of you. And I know that MVP is getting all the attention right now, as it should, because it's an immediate negative effect on high school students' math comprehension and college opportunities. But as we're out there speaking, we're finding that this is not just an MVP problem. They are bringing up constraints of open up resources, as I'm worried about my own daughter going into middle school with open up resources, and the limitations of the EL curriculum you heard a couple weeks ago that I know has been spoken here. Something evidently went terribly wrong in those years when we put these curriculums in, and it's starting to become a huge problem as my children move on. And maybe I'm getting too complicated as I talk and write speeches. These are programs that we cannot see. I don't know how else to explain that. I'm glad that you went and talked to that. I would have loved to have sat there and seen that. I would love to be a part of those conversations, because when I pick these up to help my children, you can't see them. That to me is insane, and I feel rude saying this, but there was the couple last week that talked about the air conditioning breaking at their school. And I sat right behind them and I watched person after person after person come to help them, as they should. No child should sit in a school that's not air conditioned. But as I listen to what is important to you and watch you speak and watch old board videos, it seems that the safety of the students should be first, and then the core knowledge should be second. And I kind of feel like I'm going crazy. We are dropping the ball on 6th, 7th, 8th grade high school mathematics, and English is right behind it. Teachers cannot stop talking about it. So as my husband and I come here and we ask you these questions and send you these emails, it worries us so much that this doesn't worry you, that we're not seeing this on the agenda and we're not hearing more about this. Because I don't want my daughter to go into middle school in 6 months, as I've expressed to you, or a year, and know that nothing has changed. Right now I look at the website and I see what you've done, and I'm not picking on it, but all I see is 8 questions that my son can practice for every unit in MVP 1. So we've gone 2.5 years, and now all I see is 8 questions, and I get worried that we haven't made enough progress. I hate that buzzer. Thank you.
Carrie Austin. I'm sorry, Karen Austin.
Hello. I came to speak to y'all 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, and I was an angry mama at that time. I was advocating for my children not to be forced to move schools. What I expressed my concern at that time was that that move could potentially be detrimental to my child's education. What y'all didn't know was that we were knee-deep in the process to try and get her help to survive her 3rd grade school year. My daughter is sweet and kind and funny and wicked smart, and she's dyslexic. I've had some great conversations with the teachers at her school about dyslexia, and they have been incredibly eager to learn more about it. But it's kind of sad that they're getting their education about it from a parent, when really the school board or the school district and North Carolina DPI should be the ones giving that information. In fact, with child find and IDEA law, they're kind of required to. We were able to open up a lot of dialogue at her school last year with her science fair project on dyslexia. She only got a 2nd place prize for that, but I took pictures of it and posted it on Facebook. And within 4 days, it was shared over 700 times in 21 different countries around the world. That is not too shabby for a little girl from Holly Springs. Although I just got a letter in the mail saying that she had failed her ELA EOG last year, and she is not on track for career or college. If I'm understanding the data correctly, Wake County has managed to improve the dropout rates within the county, and that's wonderful news, and y'all should be proud of the efforts you put into place to accomplish that. I come to you today to see how we can start to move the needle for the students struggling with literacy. In 2013, 39% of Wake County third graders were failing or below average in literacy. Last year, it was up to 43% failing. I'm going to leave you with some information about our Triangle Area Dyslexic Advocacy Facebook group and a great article for you to read. Clearly, I'm a mama bear, and I'm going to keep advocating for the literacy of the state's children. I look forward to seeing how many of you are willing to come to the table and meet with me and help me with it. Thank you for your time, and I'll see y'all again in 2 weeks.
Emanuela Priester.
Good afternoon, Emanuela Priester. I gave all of you homework, so I guess you have some time to work on it right now. I'm here to talk about what I think it's a common thread. I was here also last year because you guys wanted to bus around my child. I won that one, God knows for how long. The common thread here, I think, is radical ideology, and I see it in the MVP math curriculum. I'm not happy when I learn that through Freedom of Information Act requests, we parents find out that emails that you, board members, receive from parents are sent to MVP math, and that you don't respond to parents. I'm also not happy to see that you use the time for public meetings to talk about, frankly, inane things. You should also be limited to 3 minutes, when it seems to us, frankly, that you have meetings that should be openly held, so for the public to observe. You have them in secret chat rooms somewhere, in violation of North Carolina open meeting laws. I'm also concerned that I saw recently a tweet by your Wake County Public School Board Office of Equity, and in that tweet, the Office of Equity was pushing the radical agenda of Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States. Howard Zinn, as a matter of fact, is an anti-Semite. He was no historian. He's radical and highly controversial. And for the Equity Affairs to be asking, have you used ZNED project resources and material in your classroom? Check out their website. It's, frankly, very concerning to me as a parent. I would like to know, and I would like for you to put on the agenda for the next time, who is overseeing this Office of Equity? Who do they respond to? Do they ever come to these meetings? Do they ever listen to us parents? And does the agenda that they push, does it come out into the curriculum? I'm concerned about that because we all saw this week this diversity inventory. That's your homework, and I do expect each one of you to respond publicly, the same way these children were asked to respond publicly to those questions about sexuality, gender, education, ethnicity, level of income. These are highly sensitive and private information that a teacher has no business asking of children. The teacher, your attorney has instructed me not to say her name, but her name is public record, has also divulged to the children that she's bisexual, which I think it's a really gross violation of any ethics for an educator. It also concerns me. Well, you guys talked at length. Why can't I talk?
That concludes public comment. I would now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Chair Martin, I move approval of the consent agenda with the, without the closed session being included.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. I will now entertain a motion.
There's some Boy Scouts. There's some Scouts here.
We do have some, well, yes, we do have some Scouts here. Welcome. And we also have some teachers from Masters of School Administration, I think it is. Fantastic. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. Absolutely. All right. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I move that we go into closed session to consider confidential personnel information protected under GS 143-318.11 A1, A3, and A6, and 115C-319. To consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in GS 143-318.11 A3. To consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in GS 143-318.11 A3 due to current litigation SK by and through her parent RK versus WC BOE 17-EDC-8781, and to consider confidential student information protected under GS 115C-402 and the Family Education and Privacy Rights Act 20 U.S. Code 1232G.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We are now adjourned to closed session.